Good morning and welcome to Lesson 2 of Algebra Unit 1, Concept 1. Just as a reminder, you should be following along on your guided notes. You are going to be asked to fill in the ellipses, the 3 dots, as you watch the instructional video. So, today's objective. Scholars will be able to simplify expressions by combining like terms and applying mathematical properties. So you notice that what I highlighted there is what you needed to fill in on your guided notes. So what is simplifying expressions? Simplifying expressions is combining like terms and applying other math properties to make an expression appear different without altering the value or the meaning of the expression. So all we're doing is combining like terms and using other math properties to make it look different, but we are not changing its value or its meaning. So why should we simplify expressions? By rearranging expressions, we can look at them in different ways to understand the expressions better. For example, last week we did the kitchen tile task. So the kitchen tile task, we saw this expression here at the end. This is what we ended up with. And we knew what each part of this represented. So here I could say I knew that 4 was tiles added. B minus 1 was because this was after the first border. And then remember the 2n was the top and bottom ones, and the 2 were the sides. So I could explain what each part of that is. But I could rewrite this so that here I have 4 times the border number plus 2 times the number of tiles started and then we had to subtract 2. It's another way of looking at it. If you look, I sort of showed you, let me erase this so you can sort of see better because I just wrote all over this. So you can sort of see this a little better. But I showed you how I got from one to the other. So very quickly, I just got to from one to the other. The first time, I did some distributive property, right? That's all I did here. And I just took out these brackets because they didn't really have a meaning except for to separate them out. So, and then I just combined my like terms. So I had minus 4 plus 2 combined, and then the rest of them stayed the same. Just to give you an idea of how I did it. So look at the next one. How do we simplify expressions? And that's what I was just sort of talking with you about. So we do multiple things. We use the distributive property. We combine like terms. The goal is to make the expression have as few terms as possible. That's what we're looking for, as few terms as possible. And we don't want any like terms left alone. So let's look at how we do that in practice. So I'm looking at this wonderful expression here. So I have 8 times the quantity b plus 5 minus 5 times the quantity 1 plus 5b. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my distributive property. 8 times b gives me 8b. 8 times positive 5 gives me plus 40. Over here, negative 5. So remember, this negative goes with this 5. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times positive 5b becomes negative 25b. Then I'm going to look at these, and I see that I've got an 8b and a negative 25b that I can combine. I also have a plus 40 and a minus 5 I can combine. So I'm going to combine those. So 8b and negative 25b becomes negative 17b plus 35. So I took this whole long thing and brought it down to this by using my distributive property and combining like terms. Let's look at one more practice problem. So this one's a little bit less straightforward. One thing to remember, if my numbers have different exponents, they cannot be combined. This 5p can only go, 5p squared can only go with this term. This term can only go with this term because we got p to the fourth. Here we have p to the third, here we have p to the third. So that looks relatively straightforward. The thing to remember is this negative goes to each of these because we are subtracting them. So I'm going to rewrite this as 5p squared minus 11p to the fourth minus 4p to the third minus negative turns into plus 11p squared minus negative turns into plus 14p to the third minus a positive turns into minus p 2p to the fourth. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. So first I'm going to identify my like terms. So 5p squared goes with 11p squared. Those combine to give me 16p squared. Next, negative, because remember this negative goes with the 11p to the fourth, and negative 2p to the fourth becomes negative 13p to the fourth. Finally, I'll do this one in red, negative 4p to the third and positive 14p to the third gives me positive 10p to the third. So this ends up being my final expression. So go ahead and complete your practice on this, your classwork, and ask me any questions. Thank you.